I'm so thrilled to have joining me here off the top of hour number 3 is someone I thought of when the Knicks won it all, because I do what I do for a living, because I grew up in New York City and I listened to this man call Knicks games on the radio and Rangers games on the radio and conduct himself every night on NBC locally to give me the sports. And I fell in love with sports broadcasting because of this man and his cadence and the way he went about his job. And the fact that I get to speak with him right now after the Knicks won it all after 53 years is something I do not take for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only Marv Albert here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Marv?
Hey, Rich. Great to talk with you. What a packed lineup you have today.
Yes, you know what? It's my crack staff, to use your phrase,
it is,
Marv.
Yes. Yeah.
It is my crack staff putting it together. I truly, I'm not just saying that because you were kind enough to say yes to joining this program, but it's the truth. I thought of you, man, when the Knicks won it all after 53 years, because you called the last one. And how did it hit you when you watched the Knicks win it all, Marv?
Well, first of all, Rich, that's very kind. I was obviously very happy for them. Yeah, back in 1970, when they won their first, to me, that was the most exciting. They did win in 73 also, but 70 was the team of Walt Frazier and Willis Reed and Bill Bradley and Dave DeBusschere. Then it was Dick Barnett, and then in 73, Earl Monroe joined. So those were two excellent teams. This team was surprising because during the regular season, they were good, but not what they were in the playoffs when they reeled off, 13 straight wins and came from behind somehow dramatically in two of those games. It was really, it was thrilling no matter what the team or who the team would be, that a ball club could do that. It was just amazing. And of course, the city went crazy, perhaps too crazy at times. Back in our day, we didn't have watch parties, but the city fell in love with this team to a point where it was over the top in some situations.
Well, I mean, you take a look at what Jalen Brunson has done, Marv. Is there any similarities that you've witnessed throughout your career to see somebody join a team and turn himself, in many ways, into one of the greatest performances or performers in clutch time? Is there any comparison?
Rich, it's funny. There was a letter to the editor in the New York Times yesterday, asking how does one gauge the greatness of Jalen Brunson, Villanova class of 2018? Well, at least for now, it seems that he has edged out Pope Leo, the 14th Villanova class of 1977, as the university's most celebrated alum. That's where this has gone. What he has done, of course, he was doing it throughout the season, but what he has done is one of the greatest playoff performances, I think, of all time. And there have been many, as one who did a host of Michael Jordan's performances during the 90s, but Brunson was just incredible.
Yeah, and his 45 points in San Antonio ties Jordan for the most points in a closeout NBA Finals game on the road. And I just couldn't sit here and help but think that, again, Jordan is the avatar of what stood in the Knicks' way in many of the Ewing years. You were at the mic for so many of those moments. And the fact that Brunson came up with a Jordan-like performance for the Knicks, as opposed to the Knicks being prevented from getting what Brunson brought them, because it was done to the Knicks by Jordan. I couldn't help but notice that, Marv,
Yeah, that's a interesting point, particularly in that Brunson, I guess he's listed at 6'2". He's maybe 6'1". It's most unusual to watch him operate on a night-by-night basis, but he has actually done that all season and did it last season. but not to the point that we saw in Game 5 and then the earlier game. But he has really been something, and he handles himself so well. And it's one of the likable qualities of this Knicks squad is that they are extremely likable. You know, that doesn't always happen on teams, particularly winning teams. But this is a very special group. And, you know, Mike Brown came over. He'd been with championship teams. He's been with teams that have not been good and did a great job with listening to players and just handling every situation extremely well.
Yeah, and it's not usual, as you pointed out, about teams being likable. Certainly those that win one for New York, Marv. That's usually not hand in hand.
Of them, yes.
You know, that's usually not hand in hand here. There's a photograph that really hit me. We're going to pop it on the screen. Clearly, you know, you're on the phone, so you don't see. It's the moment of Patrick Ewing holding the Larry O'Brien trophy next to Jalen Brunson, who he's known since Jalen was 2, with Rick Brunson and being on the 99 team that could not get past the Spurs like this team did. And the look of just sheer elation on Ewing's face, as if, and he did say, like, I get to hold this. He feels like he has won the Larry O'Brien, Marv, and that really that hit me too when I saw this.
He's also Patrick is a changed person. I don't know if you were in New York at the time when he was a star of the team, but he was tough to talk to, and he changed when he became. I got to know him better when he was an assistant to Doug Collins in Washington, and then he coached a bit. And he's a great guy. You know, in the past, he hated talking to anyone in the media. He just was not friendly, and he's turned around, and you could see the way he was so happy for the guys of today on the Knicks team. And he traveled with the team, as a number of former Knicks, which was nice to see. But yeah, I did see that photo, and it's really it shows Patrick in a different light than a lot of people remember him from his days as a player.
And then one last one for you here on this. Numerologists pointing out that the number of all-time wins by Red Holtzman that hangs on the banner in Madison Square Garden, 613, and the Knicks won this championship on June 13th, thus 613. What am I informing you of that, Marv?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Okay, very good.
New information for me. Yeah.
I'll write it down for you if you want. What would Red Holtzman think of this team, do you think?
Oh, he would love it, because they play defense too, and that was his thing. That's how he turned around a Knicks team that was so when he took over. They were a very good defensive team. We're talking about DeBusschere, who was terrific in that department, and Willis Reed. Earl came later, but Frazier was also an excellent defensive player, great hands. So yeah, he would have loved this club. I mean, I think back to 1970 and 73. The city was wild, particularly in 70, about the Knicks championship, but nowhere, not what we've seen today. It's being a New Yorker, you would get a kick out of this. Aside from the extracurricular activity that took place in some of the watch parties. But it's unbelievable how this area has just responded to what they've done.
I do love it. I mean, I've seen videos all over the place. I just saw one this today of looks like a 4-year-old boy, 3-year-old boy walking up to people in the park saying Knicks won, and they're all hugging and high-fiving and exchanging gear. Yeah. It really is great to see, as you pointed out, despite the extracurriculars. It's just great to see. And, because I was pointing out here, Marv, that the Knicks contingent, to use another phrase of yours, includes Yankees and Mets fans and Rangers fans, and Islanders fans and Giants fans and Jet fans that might not ordinarily get along. But the Knicks kind of bring everyone together on that front.
Yeah. Well, as you know, it's an enormous basketball city. You know, there are hoops everywhere, backboards. It's the most popular sport in New York City and its environs because kids and adults play it, as opposed, for baseball, you need X number of people. Football, also X number of people in a different type of sport. Hockey has become more popular. Ice hockey has. We used to play roller hockey, but ice hockey has become much more popular. And but there's nothing like basketball in New York City. So that's part of it. You know, I think people do get attracted by the way this team played, and not only how successful they were, but as I said, they were such a likable group, and they played the game in the right way, and you don't always see that.
I would be remiss, Marv, before I let you go on with the rest of your day. I don't know if you are aware, but today is the 32nd anniversary of the day that OJ Simpson went on a slow-speed chase right here in Los Angeles, California.
Yes, I do remember, yes.
And you were at the microphone of the NBA Finals contest between the Knicks and the Rockets. What was that day like for you at the broadcast chair, and how were you informed of what was going on, Marv?
That was, I'd have to say, the most unusual day I personally have had as a broadcaster. We were going back and forth doing the game, but we were going back and forth with Tom Brokaw, who was in the studio, and they'd cut away every so often. At that time, there were TV monitors at courtside on the far side from us. It was more for the media that was sitting courtside. And the players during a timeout, I remember it was Houston against the Knicks. I remember Kenny Smith running over to take a look during a timeout and then going back to the bench. And I'm told he said, they're chasing OJ. They're chasing OJ. And we had Dick Ebersol, who was running the sports department at NBC, sitting to my left. And he was basically directing the telecast from his seat at the Garden. He had a headset on, and we were going back and forth, and it was crazy, just seeing it on a monitor as it went to Tom, and then it'd come back to me, and I get right into the play-by-play, and then go back to Tom Brokaw, and it'd go back to me, and I'm doing play-by-play, and there's the chase. There's OJ, scampering on the highway. It was incredible, just incredible.
How does one professionally turn a page? I mean, I just remember you were just frequently taking it back from Brokaw and just, pausing and then calling the game? Like, how do you do that, Marv?
Well, I could always set my mind on what was happening. I'm sure you would have, too, if you were courtside. You have to just roll with it, and I don't think there's ever been anything like that. And because it was OJ Simpson, in fact, OJ worked at NBC as doing the pregame NFL show. In fact, funny story, I was working with Paul McGuire at the time, and we would always rehearse what we were going to say in the open of the NFL telecast. And OJ would be downstairs, and he'd be listening to what we were saying. And then we learned a couple of times he was taking that material that Paul was using and would go with it on the pregame show. So what we did, we started doing, and it worked. We would basically throw it. We would make up stuff and say it, things that we were not going to say as we opened the telecast, and he went with it, So that's my best OJ story.
So you like fake information just to see if he would actually pass?
We were faking it, yeah. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that happened 32 years ago today, that chase during the NBA Finals, Marv.
Yep.
I was in this sports bar in Chicago. I just graduated from the Medill School of Journalism, hoping to be a sports broadcaster one day, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. The bar was deathly quiet, watching this thing go down. But I was
most people felt that same way.
But I was also a diehard Knick fan, Marv, and this was a big game, man. And, and I swear to you, at one point I was just watching the game on the bottom of the screen, right? Like it was a split screen. The larger square rectangle had the chase, and the smaller square had the game. At one point, I screamed out, "That was a flagrant foul!" And everyone looked at me like, "What's your problem?" But,
that was one of those unbelievable moments, I think, in television history. Not only sports, but just in the history of television. It was just unbelievable.
Marv, I really do not take this for granted. I really don't. I embarrass you every time that you are kind enough to do anything with me. I don't care, to be honest with you. Truly, I do what I do for a living, and I rip you off every day with words, cadence, every day. And I speak for so many others who do that to say thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you for the extremely kind words. Thanks a lot, Rich.
You bet. And say hello to Heather. Susie wanted me to say hello
to Susie.
You got it. I will do that. Marv, you are the man. Thanks again. Greatly appreciate your 2 cents. More than that.
Thanks, Rich. Anytime. You know that.
I will do that. That's Marv Albert.
Yes.
And it counts. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.